Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. Of course, it's an honor to present, some of my ideas along with David and Guillaume. So that's really cool. So the title of my talk is white labeling your product, right? With SaaS and some end variables. And the idea here right now is that imagine that you're making a product that you would like to sell to different clients, right? So it must be a platform that allows the client to have their own branding, to have their own content, to have their own logo, for example, right? But you still want to be like the one that maintains it, that adds new features, so it looks a little bit like SaaS model, right? So you could sell it in a SaaS model. And right now I will show you the example app that I created. It's for Amazon. And this is the app that we're gonna walk through to show you how we can change this layout created for Amazon, for example, for Google or for Facebook, right? So this is what will be covered in this talk. The agenda is the product overview that I already gave you. I will also talk about what won't be covered in this talk, because there may be some you may understand the theming a little bit differently than what's on in the talk. I will also tell you what we need to do step by step in order to achieve this particular thing that we were trying to build, and then we'll go, each step by step to really get deep into it and understand what's going on. And then there are some useful links, so some other approaches as well at the last slide. All right, idea and product overview is already done. What won't be covered in this speech? So the solution that I created is probably not suitable for if you prepare this product for, I don't know, 100 clients or 1,000 clients, right? It probably could be a good foundation, but it will probably also need some adjustments to that. Also, the solution that I created is not something for the user, right? It is something for the client, like the company that you're making the product for. So in this app, there's no possibility to change the colors for yourself. It's something that changes on the build, right? When you push it to deployment, and then it changes for a given client. And also, I made a couple of mocks. Everything is on front end, so probably some integration with backend could be useful in the future to, of course, serve some things dynamically. All right. So what we need to do to actually achieve this result here. So we need definitely like a Vue app or React app or whatever, which I will show you in a second. But in order to achieve this simple and quick changes between, let's say, Amazon and Facebook, we need definitely some color themes, which will tell us more about the color palette, and also some other variables regarding buttons, regarding paddings, margins, things like that, things that may differ, right? We also need some specific styles, for example, for logo, for buttons, for some components. The app is quite simple, but it could get bigger. I will show you how I created this with some SaaS variables, and you will probably understand how to make it bigger. Also, we need to serve images, different images for different clients, such as logo or this illustration here on the right. As you can see, also there's some specific data, right? Specific data regarding products. Of course, Facebook doesn't have Amazon Prime or AWS, so we also need this to be dynamic. I will right now go to the last one. We also need favicons, right? Which here you have this small Amazon favicon at the top, and when we change this to Facebook, it should also change. Yeah. One of the most important things that I struggled with a bit during creating this app is that when you build the app for Amazon, it shouldn't contain any data for of Google, right? Any names, things like that, or from Facebook. And actually, I achieved this, and based on the structure that I will show you in a second, it should work properly. Okay, so walkthrough. Now we'll go to WebStorm to see the general idea about the app, and then I will go step by step with you what I did to actually achieve this. Okay, so source looks normally as a Vue or React app. There are some assets inside fonts and some product specific assets, meaning logo and illustration. There are also some components here. I created base logo, but it could be without it. It could be just an image in app view. There's also some config which has TS files, and here there are all data that tells the app what products should be shown, right? And last but not least, definitely not least, styles, one of the most important folders here that contains some global files that I created, like normalize, some mixins, some functions as well, which are not 100% necessary here, but I created them, and also some variables which I will talk about in a second. There are two important files also here. So app view should be visible, I think. So app view is the only component, is the only wrapper here, and it contains some of the logic here, right? The template and some of the small logic which image should be shown, and also the products. Okay, so let's take a deep dive right now and start with env local file. So here there is a Vue app dev product environment variable, which currently is set to Amazon, right? That's why you can see this app. Let's quickly change it to something else, just for you to to not be bored, to see something that really changes. And let's select Facebook. All right, Vue works quickly, and voila, we have the same code, but it uses a little bit different. It uses a different theming. It uses different data, right? And you can see that it's the same app, but it looks, let's say, totally different. Yeah. Okay. So we will use this Vue app dev product and variable in different places to actually achieve what we want. Okay, so first thing will be styles, right? So let's go to styles, global, and yeah, and maybe to Vue config as well. So we would like to import these styles for the whole app, right? That's why we do it here in Vue config, not in main TS, for example. In main TS, we just import some main CSS, but in Vue config JS, we would like to use this loader options and import the styles here. So you can see that there are mixins, there are variables which are some global variables. They they can be set like that. I created only box shadows and some measures in 8-pixel design. And functions, and here the 11th line is the most important one. So so as you can see, if we change the end variable, it will take either variables Amazon, variables Facebook, or variables Google, right? Which are almost the same in terms of structure, but they differ because there are different colors, different values for some other keys. Sorry for I thought that it's visible, but it wasn't. So let's go back a little bit and see app view. So here in view you have the template, right, which contains the, let's say, HTML stuff. There is script, which imports components, and also have this new view 3 setup in which I compute what the image should be, the illustration, and also which products should be shown. What else? There are also some global variables that I set, meaning the global measures, global box shadows, things like that. It of course may depend on your app, whether this is true for all 3 apps or not. And also the env local file with which I started is that view app dev product is the only env variable right now, and it can be Facebook, Google, or Amazon. All right. Sticking with the styles right now, let's go, because you saw Amazon as the first one. Let's go to Amazon right now, and here there are a couple of SAS variables. So there are colors, and there's a couple of them: primary, accent, some text colors, and the background for because the illustrations are a little bit different and have different backgrounds. The background also differs between all the products. There are also some local variables for logo. It is exactly the same here, but it could be different. For example, when logo is not rectangular, when it has the same width and height, right? And also the buttons are different. I try to make them look almost exactly like on Facebook or Amazon products, but you see the difference probably. And here at the bottom, there's a change for there is a variable for font, and also for the config for font faces, because not every font has a medium font or regular. That's not important right now. And I will also show you Facebook and Google quickly. As you can see, here is Roboto. It's 8 pixels and not 4. There are some differences in button, of course, and the colors, right? So this is what we needed to make the themes for a given company. And if we would like to add another, we just add a new file here and change the environment variable in env local or in env file. All right. So this is what I had for styles, and right now let's go to images, right? Because as you can see, the logo and illustrations differ between all the products. So in assets, I have this product specific folder in which I have 3 additional folders: Amazon, Facebook, and Google. And the illustration for Amazon is this. The illustration for Facebook is a little bit different, and for Google as well, it's a different illustration. And right now, let me show you how it's implemented in AppView. So I use Computed for that, and it returns an image which is in assets product specific. Then you use the process env, and you use the view app dev product, right? The variable, and then illustration PNG. One of the problems that I see here, of course, is that some illustrations may be PNG, Some of them may be SVG or whatever. This is one of the things that I didn't want to focus on because it's a caveat, right? It's some sort of it might not be a problem if you have everything in PNG as I have right now. So this is how logo and illustration differs between products. And let's go right now to JS, how it's set up in JS in config. So there are a couple of files here. There is Axios TS file in which if you communicate with backend, this is the code that would do the job, right? So you create a new value in headers. I called it here X product origin, and you just set it to the variable, and then you can communicate with backend properly, maybe to serve some data or whatever, right? And in product specific folder, there are three files. I will show you only one right now, because Facebook and Google are the same. And Amazon TS, as you can see, have this config, and it's an object with products that is an array. And I export it as config, and here in app.ts, I require a specific file, right? And during building, this will actually require either Amazon, Facebook, or Google. And then I export it and can use in here, in this example, in AppView. So right now, because we have the end local set to Facebook, app.ts will take this file and take Instagram and Ads Manager, as you can see here. And it will use it. I just import the config here from product specific /app, and I can use it as products, and then iterate through all the products in Vue. Yes, one of the smaller things that I want to just quickly mention is that all of the products should have different favicons. And here in public folder, in favicon folder, I have three icons. For Google, for Facebook, and for Amazon. And they are implemented in index.html. So here is this link for favicon, and the href is a little bit weird. It looks a little bit weird, but as you can see, it uses the same approach, meaning process and view up the product. Okay, let's quickly see what it looks like for Google, just for because you haven't seen that. Good. Okay. So it is still a little bit different than the other two. Of course, the conclusion here would be that this approach is not perfect, right? It is something like a good foundation for creating bigger apps. Like I understand that there are some things that may not work for bigger apps like perfectly, but I think it's a very good start for some smaller apps that you could create even yourself or within your company, that you could sell to different clients, and based on that, of course, earn some more money, right? And have more clients, and a product that is scalable, which is also very important these days. And I think that wraps it up. Again, thank you very much for having me. I will be on Remo in a couple of minutes. I would like to say thank you to Alex Krasnicki, with whom I work, who also was part of this approach. So thanks to Alex.
You're welcome again to join Remo, and yes, and thank you very much, Bartek, for this time.
Thank you very much. I will be on Remo shortly. Bye-bye.